Welcome Lund loyalists to John Lund Unleashed. Those watching on YouTube, on the John Lund Unleashed and Bay Area Sports Collective channels. Viewers on X, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and Lundos listening to the podcast on Apple and Spotify. John Lund Unleashed, brought to you by 𝐟𝐸𝐵L Sports Medicine. Got pain? Check out our revolutionary stem cell treatments. And guys, if low T is bringing you down, 𝐟𝐸𝐵L Sports Medicine can put you back in the game. Now all juiced up and ready to go, here's Johnny.
What's happening? Thanks for joining us on a Friday edition of the show. I hope you have a wonderful Friday. There you go. Depending on rookies. Get it? Episode 202. Thanks for joining us. However you are watching the show. Left to right, Nick Martin, MYKEL Williams, the Giant, Alfred Collins. He is massive and up and stout, who is earning praise from everybody. So far in camp, day 3 is today. I'm going to take the day off of camp today, but I will head back. Sunday, they're off. Saturday, they go. Sunday, they're off. Monday, they go in pads. I'm going to go back in pads because you can only learn so much with them running around. And so Monday, they hit pads, and that's really when we're going to find out about the offensive and defensive linemen, which to me, massive key, especially defensively. Lots of stuff to talk about today, Niners and other stuff. Episode 202. Make sure a couple of things before we get going today. Watching on John Lund Unleashed. Oh, you're not. X is a great place to watch. I'm not saying it's not at John Lund Radio, but if you would migrate over to John Lund Unleashed on YouTube, give us a like, give us a follow. Make sure that you hit that bell there, and you won't miss any of the shows and things that we do throughout the day, whether it's shorts or short versions, long versions, things we send out throughout the day. You won't miss anything like that. So hit us there. If you're watching on Instagram, thanks for hitting us up there. Same thing applies. Hit up to John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. And please make sure you subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and make sure you have those alerts on as well. Bay Area Sports Collective, you see that B in the corner there. That means my show, a bunch of 𝐾𝐨𝐵Rers. My show is on there. Tom Tolbert, Rod Brooks with Quality Hang, Holly Mack and Creative Tony, all those 𝐾𝐨𝐵Rers. In addition, Amy G, the great Amy G, and Giants pitcher Jeremy Affeldt. We're adding stuff all the time, so make sure you can get all those. You can be watching on Facebook, my personal page, Instagram, all those things, however you're watching. Thank you so much. We'd love it if you'd head over to the YouTube page at John Lund Unleashed. So there you go. All right, what we're going to be hitting up, if you're new around here, we go by the chalkboard before we do roll call today in the chat room. 49ers day 2, defense. I told you after day 1, I was staring at receivers and offensive guys. I would go over to the defensive side and got a lot of great reaction when we did the recap show last night. Plus, I got some videos for you that you're going to enjoy. Robert Saleh speaks, especially on the youth and the rookies. A lot of people hit me up on X, especially at John Lund Radio. Saleh speaks about, well, Christian Wilkins? Could be. We'll get into that as the Raiders release him, and he's already filed a grievance with the NFL Players Association. A little camp tape, as I told you. Run, Ricky, run. I'll tell you what that means. The Mets are in town for the Giants. All of a sudden, things become important. There's a weird Max Scherzer story that I'm going to show. That I'm going to play a video for you. I don't know if I believe it or not. Trade talk as we get closer and closer to the deadline. Today's the 25th, so we are less than a week away from the trade. And people who think that Buster's going to either sit or sell, that's not going to happen, and I'll explain why. I had a conversation with somebody. Kuminga deals. Sham says some things. Kuminga's just kind of sitting back. The LeBron baby thing, you've probably heard about it. It has to do with Steph Curry, too, and LeBron's freaking out because that's LeBron. We got double cabooses today, one that was sent to me and another one that is absolutely crazy that I thought was a fake, and then I went to confirm it, and I did confirm it. So a lot of great things going on today. Please stay right there. Tell all your friends and enemies about the show. Let's grow the community, and we really appreciate you coming in on a Friday for episode 202. We're going to check into the chat room, and that's at John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. That's where these names are coming from. Lots of good friends, and we've grown a great community. So come on in. You don't have to agree with the host, me. You don't have to agree with people in the room. Just come in. Say hi. Everybody wants to welcome you, including me. So if you haven't been here before, say hi, say it's your first time in, and we will welcome you with open arms. Enrique is here this morning. Good morning to you. Dom is here. DC. Hello, DC. I think I saw you in Larry's room last night when we were chopping it up about day 2 of camp. Daniel is here from the 916 this morning. Francis, good morning. Dom, good morning to you this morning. Naomi, I believe Naomi was the first one to send me the story about the Chuck E. Cheese guy with the fraudulent credit cards, and then he gets hauled out of Chuck E. Cheese, which was hilarious. I think it was in Tala. Welcome to Tallahassee, Florida. I think that's where that was. Joe Schmo Antonio, good morning to you, my friend. Papa J, hello. Like and subscribe, both channels. That's my man, Papa J, hitting us up on that. Tacky, good morning, my friend. It is nice. Yeah, let's get weird, man. It's a Friday. Why not? Let's do that. Who else do we have in the room today? Good morning. Chug a beer. It's far too early, but I don't know. Who knows by the end of the show? James, good morning to you, and anybody else that comes in, I will recognize you as you come in. So good morning to everybody. A lot to get to this morning on episode 202. All right, let's get to everything here. Niners camp day 2. Now, if you're with the show last night with Krug, or last night when I did a recap after I came home from Santa Clara, by the way, I could use some sunscreen. I was so stupid. After the first day, I got sunburned, and I was like, I know better, because I have one of those safari hats. And I've told you this story, but when I covered my first Niners camp in 2011, I go out there, Jim Harbaugh's coaching and everything. And these were the old days, even though it's only 14 years ago. But kind of the old days in which, like Kyle Shanahan, you get out there as media, they've already stretched and everything, and you go out there as media at about 10:20, and by noon you're out of there, right? It's quick. It's fairly quick. Jim Harbaugh would have like these 2.5 to 3 hour sessions in the middle of the afternoon, and it was hot, man. And the first time I went out there, I got sunburned like a mother. And I went up to Matt Mayoko at the time all those years ago, and I hadn't met Matt yet. And we have developed a great friendship over 14 years. But I see this guy in this big safari hat, and I'm thinking, what a dork. And by the end of Jim Harbaugh's first practice that I had attended, I went up to Matt Mayoko, introduced myself, and said, "You're the smartest man alive," because he had that hat on and was awesome. And I was like, okay, Matty, you're smart. I'm dumb. And so I know better, and I didn't even bring a hat. And I meant to yesterday, and then I got sunburned twice. So that's why I have such a red face today, and it's embarrassing, but that's what I did, and I own it. So that's stupid. Anyway, that's Niners camp day 2. Not really. But as I told you after yesterday's show, I said, okay, I'm running down there, and I'm going to concentrate on the defense, and that's exactly what I did. So I watched a lot of the defensive line drills, from hitting the sleds for the big guys to the get-off drills on the outside. I'm telling you, man, if things work out as planned, and as I showed you in the cover today, depending on the rookies. So a lot depends on MYKEL Williams, and it's not that I don't think MYKEL Williams, the first-round pick out of Georgia, is going to be a good player. I do, but it might be in time. As I've told you many, many times, the least amount of snaps among edge rushers in the NFL draft in 2025, and he's only 20 years old. But I'll play a cut from Trent Williams that I played last night that you might have seen and heard. But I'll play a cut that I got from Trent Williams when I was down there yesterday. And he raved about the size of MYKEL Williams. And he might, he's listed at 6'5", 265. He might be up to 270, 275. I mean, he's a big boy. And when you see him in the cluster of defensive linemen, remember, it's edge and linemen in there. So, and he doesn't look small even amongst the defensive tackles. And remember, the Niners have a lot of big defensive tackles. They have kind of maybe switched a little bit. They want pluggers in the middle. They want pocket pushers in the middle. That's what they've got. They have a lot of big guys. And MYKEL Williams is, I'm not going to say as big, but it's not like, it's like, oh, okay. Because normally you see a difference between the edge rushers, and you just don't with him. He is a big boy. So I'll play that for you with Trent Williams in a minute, but he looks good, but it might take him a minute. But if he can somehow, I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it's sacks, with all the different things, pressures, maybe you can get 5 or 6, but then they're going to move him inside on passing downs. And we forgot about Bryce Huff for a minute. At least I did. And I'm looking at 47 yesterday doing the get-off drills from the outside, and then I watched him against Trent Williams in the 11-on-11s. And Bryce Huff is fast. I don't know what his 40 is or anything like that. But what I'm talking about is, so I'm watching just the get-offs, and he's just blowing by, right, 47. And then I'm watching the 11-on-11s, which they don't let you tape or anything like that, and he's going against Trent Williams. Now, to be fair to Trent, it's not like Trent is going a million miles an hour like a lot of the rookies out there. The rookies are at a different speed because there's like, I got to make the team, or I got to show people, or this is my first camp. Right? They're just all over the place. And Trent, so like, this is just something I got to do to get in shape. All right. But a couple of times before Trent could even get out of his stance, Bryce Huff is just like, and would have had a sack on the quarterback. They just two-hand touch the quarterback. They continue the play because they want the play to get going. But if this was reality, Bryce Huff has at least one sack yesterday, if not two. I mean, he can scream off the edge. So the plan is passing downs, Bryce on one side, Bosa on the other. MYKEL Williams is big enough to move inside. Not sure who's going to be the other tackle in the turbo package, which means their pass rushing package. If you hear that term, turbo package, that's their pass rushing package. I don't know who the other defensive tackle is going to be, but that's a lot of speed and power for the defensive line. And I'm pretty excited to watch it once things get going. So that was pretty cool to watch. And then the other thing was, and I have to turn the sound down for this. If you want to hear the sound on this, which I think is pretty fun to hear, go to my X page at John Lund Radio, because they don't care if I play this, because there's music in the background, and that's a copyright infringement for YouTube. So I found that out. Well, I knew that, but I played Crazy Train when I was down there. I didn't play it. They were playing it over the speakers, and then YouTube said, and they made my video. They took my video offline for a minute, and I had to just cut that music out, and then I could repost it, and they were fine with it. So you're not going to hear ''𝐶𝐭 unless you go to my X page at John Lund Radio. But a bunch of people got onto this and forwarded to people, and it got going and got quite a few likes. But here's Alfred Collins, and it just shows you how big he is. But I'm going to do the audio for you here, okay? Because I can't play it because they're playing Metallica. Dun, 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 dun. Boom, the bell tolls. So basically, just keep that in your head as you're hearing this. But so here's Alfred Collins, a second-round pick out of Texas. And watch more so. Okay, wait a minute. Is this the right one? No, this is the edge stuff. All right, hang on. I got to get the other stuff. Since we have this, we'll play this for a second, because this is the get off stuff. I'll get the other video in just a second. I set it up and I set up the wrong thing, but it's okay. Let's see a little MYKEL Williams. See how big MYKEL Williams is? I mean, he might be 270, 275. And see all the big defensive linemen? So there's a little get off stuff. There's Bosa. Want to watch Bosa get off stuff? I don't know. This may not entertain you very much. See, Bosa's like, okay. So anyway, there's a little of that. Let me go back. Hang on one second. This will just take a sec. And I'll get this Alfred Collins stuff for you. And I'm going to do the narration. This was from yesterday. So let me make sure I have the right stuff here. This is the right one. All right, here you go. You're going to freak out over this. Hold on, I got to get your sound out. Okay, hang on. Let me get it to the beginning. Don't freak out over that. All right, so there's big Alfred Collins, 95, the second-round pick. But I'm going to do the sound for 𝐶𝐭, okay? The defensive line coach that we always hear about, 𝐶𝐭. Who's this guy? He's just a wild man. He's in a backwards hat. All right, so you can't really see him there. Oh, no, this is the same damn video. God dang it, Lund. What are you doing? All right, hang on. Dang it. All right, remove from studio. Let me try this one last time. If it doesn't work this time, then we're out of luck, and you're going to be mad at me. All right, this is from yesterday. Hang on. Okay, same one. That's not the right one. That's not the right one. That's not the right one. God, I'm better than this. Come on, man. Hang on. I know I have it. Okay, this is it. 100% guaranteed this is it. Okay, see, I got it. See, I had to cut that out. Okay, so 𝐶𝐭's a man. See the guy in the red hat right there? That's 𝐶𝐭 that everybody's talking about. Jordan Elliott, by the way, 92. He's like 6'3". He's maybe 330 pounds. So when you see Alfred Collins go by him, he makes him look a little bit small, So, okay. So, again, I got to turn the sound off here because I don't want to get this video cut offline, but watch this. All right, he's just in his ear. Let's go. I mean, he's just screaming top of lungs, just freaking out, right in his ear hole right there, right? You got Metallica ripping in the background. He's like, no, you're not done. You're not done. You're not done. Get back here. Does it again, screaming in his face, yelling at him to be better, yelling at him about techniques. Metallica's blaring, do it again, screaming in his ear hole, do it again. Come back for a third time, Rook, third time. These guys are laughing because he's like, are you serious, coach? Yep, dead serious. Here he comes. bends over again in his ear hole, screaming with Metallica, makes him do it again. He's tired. See that third one? He's like, ugh. Now watch him come back. And I will give him credit. He's not a fat dude. He's big. Does it get next to no, I guess I didn't let it go that far. Anyway, there's the second rounder. This is huge. And that's why I put the cover on the show today of the rookies, because you saw MYKEL Williams, you saw Collins right there. That's Stout right there on the right, and that's Nick Martin on the left, number 45. Martin hasn't been getting first-team reps. That's been going, obviously, to D. Winters, who talked to the media yesterday. And then Clifford, the guy they got from Tennessee, he's more of a special teams guy, but if they needed a third linebacker, he's running right now. Now, look, we're in the second day today, third day of camp. Nothing is set in stone. Nick Martin's not a big guy. Now, he's built well, but he's not a big guy. So those guys that you just saw, they've got to keep him. They got to keep guards off of him. So that is the big thing. So there's a little bit of video for you. And let me follow that up with a little bit of Robert Saleh. And this is why I'm talking about the rookie so much. And then I'll go out to the chat line and see what people are talking about. But here's Saleh. And he admits, and you don't really often get this from a coach, talking about rookies, talking about young guys. But he admitted there's like 6 to 8 jobs up for grabs, and the majority of them could be grabbed by rookies. And he's talking about rookies and kind of the progress of everything. So he admits, look, man, early in the season, it may not look great, but later in the season, it's going to look a lot better. Here's Saleh yesterday.
And it is realistic that 8 of those 11 or 6 of those 11 could be rookies, or even 8 of them, but or 8 new starters. And it's both awesome if they earn it, and it's exciting. Just all the way around. Anytime you have that much turnover and that much change, there's going to be a process of gelling and getting to know one another. And again, just understanding the system and how you play together at a high level. And but whether they're veterans or young, the expectation is that you get better throughout the course of the year, regardless. Whether you're a 10-year vet or a young rookie taking his first snap, you go to bed better than when you woke up. Every day of life, and so the expectation, regardless of how old you are, is to get better.
How do you see the safety spot shaping up?
It's wide open. It's JP Pinnock's coming in, Richie Grant, Siegel being a rookie, obviously Jair, Mustafa, and then there's some young guys back there that are fresh with Mahoney and Canteen and Neal. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but it is a wide open competition. That's it.
All right, so there's Robert Saleh yesterday. Like I said, you don't often hear defensive coordinators or coaches or whatever on the podium say, hey, there's 11 spots, 6 to 8 of them could be rookies. So you won't remember this in week 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, when the defense is struggling. I'm just trying to give you maybe a public service announcement here. They're going to struggle early in the season. Rookies make mistakes. Robert Saleh said in another cut earlier that, look, rookies make mistakes. Hopefully they correct those mistakes quickly. He said veterans don't make as many mistakes. The trade-off is rookies are going to have the quickness, explosiveness, 40-yard time that they just had at the combine. Vets won't have that, but they've got the savvy. They understand. They can read what's going on offensively. Like, they'll get there quicker, even though they're not running that speed. They, the experience, all those kind of things. And he said we may have some issues defensively in that way. And then the reason why I let it run into the safeties, I mean, he's not wrong. So we're concentrating a lot on the front four, which there could be 3 rookies in the front four. D. Winters hasn't played a ton, so he's a young player. Nick Martin is a rookie, so 2 of your 3 linebackers could be rookies. Renardo Green is a second-year guy that I expect to make a jump, but still. And then you get to the safeties. Jair Brown should be a starter, but I don't think that's set in stone. Richie Grant, who they got from Atlanta, was at the other safety, and he was going in and out with Jason Pinnock, who they got from the Giants, and he's more of a special teams guy, but he's going to be there, and he's more of a at the line of scrimmage guy before Malik Mustafa comes back, so he's going to be a minute. And then people are talking about Marquise Sigel. I haven't seen a lot from him, but I think we will when the pads come on. He's a rookie out of Kansas State with a good 40 time. He talked about Jalen Mahoney. He's a guy that's going to be in there. So he mentioned just about every safety on the roster, and he said it's wide open. And he's not just saying that for the media. He's not just saying that so that his guys can hear, hey, this is wide open. Get after it. He's 100% saying that. So there's a ton of jobs on the defense, and most of those jobs are not among veterans. They're among young players. So there's two spots that I really think that the 49ers will be hunting when they start looking as camp goes on for other teams. And you know how this works. There's going to be a glut for some teams at certain positions, and they'll start looking around the league going, hey, who could we trade with? I think the Niners probably need an adult in the room at wide receiver and at safety. I wouldn't be surprised at all. And Kyle said wide receiver after the first day of camp when he was talking down there. He said wide receiver. So I think they'd be on the lookout for wide receiver, and we know why. Brandon Ayuk and Demarcus Robinson, who's looked really good in camp, is going to miss probably the first 2 days because of a DUI. So for week one at least, I think they might need an adult in the room for that one. And then safety, even J.R. Brown, who's going into his third year, I don't trust him in deep coverage. Just go see Justin Jefferson in the Minnesota game. He just made a massive mistake there. He doesn't have the makeup speed to do that. And so I'm not sure what he does really, really well. So I'm not convinced that he's the guy. And then Malik Mustafa is going to miss a little bit of time. And Malik Mustafa is a closer to the line of scrimmage kind of a guy anyway. So it's not that I don't think he would have been good. He would have been the starter, and J.R. Brown would have been the other starter on as much as the free safety. And then you would have kind of had fights for backup spots. But that's not the way it's going to be. And I think as Robert Saleh, it's going to be wide open. I'm a little bit surprised, and I don't know what the deal is. Julian Blackmon just signed with the Saints late in this process. I think he would have been perfect for the Niners, but for some reason, and it wasn't a big contract, the Niners weren't interested for the second year. They brought him in last year, didn't sign him. So somebody could shake free in the safety market. Who knows? But that's an area of concern. And because it's the last line of your defense, absolutely it's a concern. And because just overall the secondary and the defense in general is so young and is going to be so young, it would just be really nice to have someone on the back end that's kind of directing from the back, like, hey, move here, do this, do that. It would be really nice to have somebody back there at least early in the season to be like, hey. And overall, I'm just saying, as Robert Saleh just said, if they're having trouble early in the season, which I anticipate they will, because think about when a team in any sport has a lot of new starters, even if they're veterans, it takes a minute for everybody to gel. And now we're talking about a bunch of new starters. And as Robert Saleh just said, 6 to 8 of them might be rookies. And the game's going to be going really fast early in the season. And coaches know that. Offensive coaches know that. So they're going to do certain things to confuse young players. That's just the way it's going to be. So they could struggle early in the season defensively. Hopefully lean on their offense to get 30-plus points. They could win some shootouts early in the season while Robert Saleh is adjusting some things defensively. That's how I see the early season for the 49ers. Pressure on the offense. Got to score 30-plus. Defense is gelling a little bit, giving up some big plays. They tighten up by midseason, and there's some good players potentially on this defense, young players, but it might take a minute. That's all I'm saying. So you might want to be patient, but then again, that's not really what we do as fans, is it? We're not really patient. So there's the thought on the defense. 49ers camp day 2. Defense, Saleh speaks. All right. Let me stop for a second because I'm going to go into this Christian Wilkins thing. So any questions, comments, thoughts from any of that stuff? I will hit up Kenny Smith. I will hit up on some Giants here momentarily. Let's see. Okay. Clothing store. I don't know about that. Let's see. All right. Yeah, I wish I could play that Metallica song, but they get on me, man. They get on me like right away. They're like, oh, jeez, they freak out. Like, we have banned your video. It's like, geez, Louise. Fuji, good morning. Oh, I forgot to mention that if you would like to get your question, comment, or thought on the show, supers are a great way to do that. And you're benefiting the show. You're contributing to the show, which I very much appreciate. Bottom of the night tonight for the Mets game. I do believe so. Larry and I discussed it last night. I've got to get with him this morning, and I will send out an alert, my friend. Dom is in here today. That's my fault. It's not on Dom. It's on me. I got to get with Dom. It's on me. 100% on me. Yeah. A koozie would be nice as well, by the way. Koozie's massively underrated. A koozie is so nice. Now, we haven't had great weather, at least where I'm in the East Bay. But and this has been one of the, I think, isn't this the coldest, or had how many years in San Francisco, the coldest summer in X amount of years? I can't remember that. So you haven't need koozies as much. And I'm a coaster freak too. It's like, it's a nice table. Get a coaster down. And like I said, I bring in a pint glass all the time. Like, look, I've got water this morning, pint glass. And I would love it to say bottom of the pint. So absolutely. Yeah, we got to get on that. And I know I say that every week. I'm sorry, Fuji. Fuji's the best. All right, so there we go. I will let you know. I will put alerts out. So, again, keep those alerts on, and I will let you know on bottom of the pint tonight. And it's a huge series against the Mets, and I'll get to that in a few minutes. All right, Christian Wilkins. Wow, the Raiders are strange. Al Davis can pass away, and Mark Davis can take over, and it's the same old, same old. There is their release. We've decided that it is in the best interest of the organization to move on from Christian Wilkins, blah, 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 blah. He's been informed, blah, 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 blah. So here's what happened with Christian Wilkins. A year ago, they signed him to a 5-1-10, and he played 5 games. He pockets $49.7 million for those 5 games, so almost $10 million a game. And he has what's called a Jones fracture, which is a broken bone in his foot. And so it hasn't healed properly. He rehabbed it. It came along slowly. They thought he'd be ready for the season. At the beginning of OTAs this year, not training camp, the beginning of OTAs way back, they wanted him to have another procedure, the Raiders. He did not want to have the procedure. He wanted to rehab it the way he was rehabbing it, and so he refused. He comes back to camp. He's still got rehab to do. The Raiders are pissed off because he's still not doing things the way that they would like things to be done, and so they release him. Now, the current regime, John Spytek is their general manager. Pete Carroll, obviously, is their head coach. They didn't sign Christian Wilkins to 5-1-10. This isn't the same regime. They're all out. So it's not their issue. So they let him go. Obviously, Wilkins has already, I should say, filed a grievance with the players union because he's owed $35 million in guaranteed money. It's in the contract. The Raiders are saying, look, he is, we're denying him that money because by the letter of the law, he's not following the rules. And so we're letting him go and we're not paying him the money. Now, that sounds like a very Raiders thing to do when Al Davis was alive. Mark Davis owns the team. Some things never change. That's the Raiders. And, I don't know the inner workings of this whole thing. That's just what's being reported, what I just said. But the issue becomes, if you ever want to be any good, you treat players right. And maybe Christian Wilkins did screw up or whatever the case may be, but there's got to be some kind of a middle ground in this whole thing, and players are going to see that, and they're just not going to want to go there. And I don't care if Tom Brady's running things or whomever comes in there, and Pete Carroll has respect of people, and Spytek apparently has credibility around the league. The Raiders are the Raiders. And we talk about this all the time on the show. Whether an owner is great or bad, no matter if it's in regular business, sports, whatever the case may be, it rots from the head down. It just does. You can have a great GM. Just look at the A's, for example. Just rots from the head down. The A's have a lot of good people in that organization. I know them. But John Fisher down, it rots. And same thing with good ownership. Good ownership down, it's great. So that's just the way it works. And the Raiders are going to have a hard time getting people because you said the money's guaranteed. And then a year later, you're taking the money away. Now, maybe Christian Wilkins didn't follow the rules. Christian Wilkins didn't get the surgery. I don't know the inner workings of it, but he's pissed. There's $35 million on the table, and we'll see how it works out. Now, what you care about, you're like, Lund, I don't care about any of that stuff. Is he healthy? Because that's the one thing it comes down to. My first thought on Christian Wilkins, not knowing his health, but he's on the PUP list right now. And I I texted somebody down there and they said, yeah, he's not going to be ready to play by the first of the season. So they would have probably put him on the PUP list and he would have missed the first 4 games and probably reevaluated at that point. So looking at the Niners defensive line, absolutely. Alfred Collins, a rookie. I hope, but I don't know. CJ West, I hope, but I don't know. Jordan Elliott had a Pro Football Focus grade of 47.9. Bring that grade back to your parents and see how that works out. Kevin Givens, he's okay. Evan Anderson, he's okay. Kalia Davis, he's not proven. He's nothing. So, look, that's not great. Now, could Collins and West, and could they surprise us? Yeah, they could. But it's going to take a minute probably, and they're going to go through some rookie lumps. So if you just told me Christian Wilkins was healthy and the 49ers have the second most cap space in the sport right now, I'd say, that makes a hell of a lot of sense. but I don't think he's healthy, number one. And remember, what did the 49ers do? Let's just use logic for just 1 second. I know that's not normally the thing, but let's use logic for just 1 second. What did the 49ers just do in the offseason? They let Javon Hargrave go, and they're eating a bunch of money. They're eating the most money, yum, 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 the most money for players not to play for them this year, more than anybody else in the league. So they just got out of doing this. Debo's hurt and overpaid. He's gone. 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭 was up for a big contract, didn't play enough. He's gone. Like, they just undid a bunch of this stuff. Overpaid, big-name guys, veteran guys, gone. That's what they just did this offseason. And they ate a bunch of money in the process. But they're like, you know what? We're not going to do that anymore. We're not going to do that. And now here comes, would they be interested in Christian Wilkins? There's two major things. If Christian Wilkins is healthy, it makes sense. If Christian Wilkins will take hey, you know what? You might want a 1-year make-good deal. We'll offer you, 1 in 10 or something. You made almost $50 million for 5 games. You're good. And you've got a grievance with the NFL. Maybe you'll get some money out of that. We'll give you a 110 make-good deal. Show that you're healthy. Go back on the market next year. He's still young. He's like 28 years old. Like, 1 year, make-good deal. Got a great position coach in 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭. We need you. You'll play. You got some young guys. We'd love you to mentor him. Christian Wilkins is supposedly a really great guy. He was great at Clemson. He's a great locker room guy, apparently. Great character guy. So, yeah, if healthy, if he would play for X amount of dollars on a 1-year make-good deal. That's the only way that it makes any kind of sense, because they just undid a bunch of these kind of deals. They're not signing into a long-term deal. They just got rid of injured, expensive players. So it doesn't make any sense unless he'll play ball. And I don't know if he will. And I don't know how healthy he is. So anyway, there you go. Let's see. Good morning, 831. It is very nice to see you this morning. Oh, I've got a lot of people down here. Sorry, I didn't scroll down. What am I thinking, man? Did I say good morning to Joe? GSAC, it is nice to see you, my friend. Dang. It is great to see you this morning. It is great. AJ, good morning, good morning, good morning. What else do we have today? Is JJ Rader in here this morning, by the way? I'd love to get his thoughts on that. Hi, Pine. So anyway, there it is on Wilkins. I think that's kind of – hi, Tommy. I think that's kind of the deal as far as Wilkins is concerned. I mean, I just don't see it. I mean, I get it. I totally get the Wilkins thing, and I get people going, huh? Because, defensive line, interior defensive lineman, they absolutely could use some proven guys in there, but he's just got to play ball. So we'll see. Camp tape I already played for you this morning. I played you tape that I wasn't going to play for you, but I did play the Collins stuff. I did play some get-off stuff from Bosa and Williams. Williams is big, man. In fact, I already played the Trent Williams stuff. Did I play Trent? Yeah, I did, right? I played Trent Williams talking about him. Yeah, I did. But, or maybe I didn't. No, I don't think I did. Let me play the Trent Williams because I have a Trent Williams story for you as well. So this is Trent Williams at the podium yesterday, and Trent doesn't own any shirts that have sleeves on them, and neither would I if I had those pythons. But here's Trent Williams talking about how big first-round pick MYKEL Williams is and how big of a pain in the ass he's going to be to block.
About it like that, I just think it's so much turnover in this league. Like, who are we really proving it to? So a lot of the guys we played last year on different teams, and we play different teams this year. It's really, we got a standard, and the challenge is to uphold the standard. It's not really to prove anybody wrong, but just to get back to playing 49er football, playing it our way and the way that we know how to play, which has been dominant the last few years, and that's just what we got to get back to. I don't think it has anything to do with proving anybody wrong.
That's a different cut. That's just, he was basically talking about the MYKEL Williams cut was, he just said, look, that guy's going to be a monster. When I look at MYKEL Williams, and let me show it to you again, and I think I put the sound on this, and I'll get your opinion on this, because when I see MYKEL Williams, I think Aldon Smith on the field. He's big, he's long, he's strong. He's only 20 years old. Aldon was 20 years old when he came out of Missouri. They played in a similar amount of games. Let me make sure I have the volume down because they freak out on this kind of stuff. But see body type here? There he is right there. Let me go back. I'm going to have to go back here because he walks over. So we see some C98, long arms, long legs, but he's bigger than you think. He's girthier than you think. Like I said, he's listed at 6'5", 265. He's got to be 270. Because, I mean, it's not that he makes Bosa look small, but, I mean, he's a big guy. And he's going to go inside on passing downs, outside on rundowns. But, I mean, he's a big boy. And he just reminds me just from a body type of Alden and just a youth type of Alden. Now, Alden was different. I mean, he came shot out of a cannon and from day one. And I just remember I've told this story before. It's just like ridiculous. Like Joe Staley, I remember that camp, and he was like, my God, this guy. So right from day one, Alden was ridiculous. And on Monday, that's what's going to be fun. Monday, I'm going to go down there because that's exactly what I want to see. I want to see Trent Williams versus MYKEL Williams. I want to see one-on-ones, receivers getting off the line against corners. I want to see offensive line, defensive line. I want to see Alfred Collins against the interior of the Niners. That's when you can start learning stuff. I mean, George Kittle said that day before yesterday. He's like, well, it's not really football because we're not in pads. So we're going to learn a lot on Monday. So make sure on Monday you're here in the afternoon or evening. I guess like 6 o'clock on Monday, I'll do a recap of camp on Monday because that's going to be serious stuff because that's when we'll start to learn something. The MYKEL Williams story, this is hilarious. So I don't think Trent said this when it was kind of on the record, but he was up on the podium before things got going, and he was talking about MYKEL Williams, and Trent Williams has a plane. I don't think that should surprise anybody. Trent Williams has a plane. And about a month ago, he was going down to Cabo as kind of his last vacation before camp, and he got a call from MYKEL Williams. MYKEL Williams was like, remember, rookie, first-round pick, rookie. This is ballsy. Calls up Trent Williams and says, hey, man, can I use your plane to go down to Mexico? Trent Williams is like, no, rookie, you cannot use my plane to go down to Mexico, but I happen to be going down to Cabo, and you can come with me, but you're not taking my plane. So anyway, that was kind of funny. He said he hung out with him, and he's a really good guy, and he's excited about him. So I don't know if that's going to make that's going to translate into him shooting out of the gate like Alden Smith did, but who knows? I have no idea. But anyway, it was a hilarious story. He was laughing like, wow, that's ballsy. Rookie goes up to Trent Williams or calls Trent Williams and says, hey, dude, can I use your plane? It's like, no, you cannot use my plane. So anyway, and finally, the last thing I'll talk about in terms of the 49ers, and then we'll move to some other stuff that's going on. Plus, we got a great KABOOSE pistol, so don't go anywhere today. A lot of good stuff still to come, even outside of the Niners. The Run, Ricky, Run, if you were with the our camp post-game show yesterday at about 6 o'clock Pacific, and you can go back if you want a deeper look into Camp Day 2. I've got that in the camp recap in episode 201 yesterday, right here on YouTube and John Lund Unleashed. But the Run, Ricky, Run thing is funny because what they have is they've changed the fields. I don't know if you would notice it from the videos, but they used to have these horizontal fields, like 3 of them, I think, and then now they're these vertical fields, and they're 2 giant vertical fields. And so what they do is if they have rehabbing players, it's harder for us to see them. Before it was a lot easier because the fields were closer together, and we actually walked past that field, and we could look at the player that was rehabbing and see them actually like be fairly close as we were walking out to the field. And then we could turn around and actually see them rehabbing, and we could tell you like, hey, here's what they look like. Now they have that person. We come in one way, and whoever is rehabbing is way away by design, I'm sure. So, you can kind of see Ricky Pearsall in the distance and other people that are kind of working who are not yet in camp. So you don't get a close-up of Ricky Pearsall much. But then we're switching to the other field. So what they were doing is they were using the far field to do what's called the 11-on-11s. So they do all these drills on one field. All the position groups break up. And then they go to this far field to do the 11-on-11s, which means the rehabbing players then come to the field that is closest to us. Does that make sense? But we're transitioning to the other field. So we're walking. But I was one of the laziest last people because I was talking to somebody, and they're like, hey, let's go. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. So I start walking around because you got to walk around on the outside. And as I'm doing that, Ricky Pearsall is sprinting towards the closer field so he can be, of course, farther away from us so people can't see. But because I'm running late, he runs a route. And so I'm on the sideline. He jets past me to my right, makes a hard cut, full speed, jumps, twists, and makes a catch, and then finishes off the play by sprinting the rest of the way into the end zone. And I'm like, damn. And we can't tape any of that because the position drills you can. After that, they tell you cut the cameras, and then they do the 11-on-11s because they're actually running their offense. So they don't want you to not that we would know anything, but it's like, we're running our offense and they don't want that out there. So, but my point is that, Ricky Pearsall, unless something happens over the weekend, he tweaks something, whatever the case may be, he's playing on Sunday, or he's working on Sunday. He'll be out there because Kyle Shanahan said Sunday was going to be the day. He said that after the first day of camp. And on the first day of camp, I saw him kind of jogging around. He was doing some things, some cuts. He didn't look like he was going full speed. Yesterday, when he zipped by me, that dude, it was like, oh, yeah. And his body looks bigger. He looks thicker. He looks bigger. He's a really good athlete. You could tell that from last year. But guy's a really good athlete. Does that mean he's going to be great in year two? I don't know. But one of the things that I'm concerned about the rookies and counting on rookies is it's just hard. And what Ricky Pearsall, I think, is going to be this year versus what Ricky Pearsall was last year. And take the gun, the shooting aside, and obviously he had the injury in training camp aside. It's just guys have more confidence. You can just tell the way they walk, the way they talk, the way they are. Think about it like going into work for the first time and you don't know where it is, and you don't know where the bathroom is, and you don't know who your friends are, and you don't really know the lay of the land. And then you come in, and after a while, it's like, okay, I'm comfortable here. You know the way around, you know everything, you know how the office politics work, your cubicle, all that kind of stuff. You get it. You know where everything is. You're good. You're comfortable. That's what it's like going into the second year. It's like none of this stuff is new to me. I'm not a rookie anymore. I don't have to worry about carrying any of these pads or doing anything like that. I'm good. Like, I'm all good. And that's what I think Ricky Pearsall is going to feel in the second year. And that's normally how it happens. There's guys who come into the league who just burn it up from day one. Awesome. That's the rare guy. But usually it's like, okay, they get the year under their belt and then they kind of start ascending. And that's why we talk about second year guys, those kind of guys, even like guys like Dom Pooney. I think Pearsall is going to jump forward. I just hope there's a number of guys from the last year's class, 24 class, that make a big jump this year. 25 class, you got to get a few of those guys, especially defensively. And if I had to pick, Williams and Collins right off the top of my head have got to do that. And then hopefully next year, then those guys take even a bigger jump. So that's the kind of problem in relying on rookies is we're all sitting there crossing our fingers on rookies. But the reality is they come through to a certain extent, maybe as SALEH just told you a few minutes ago, maybe the back half of the season or maybe, week 4, week 5, it's like, okay, I'm starting to feel comfortable here, hopefully sooner rather than later. So anyway, there you go. All right. So run, Ricky, run. He's going to be ready on Sunday. I have no doubt in my mind. All right. Any other questions on the Niners? Questions, comments, thoughts before I move on to a couple of things in regards to the Giants, this weird Scherzer story. And like I said, I have a couple of great Caboose pistols for you. Yeah, he did. It was like a cheetah. Well, it's not like I have any speed whatsoever, but I'm just kind of, casually walking over to the other side, even though they're like, could you put a move on? And seriously, the dude was like right by me. And I was like, what was that? And all of a sudden I look up, I'm like, geez, that dude, he's quick. Scott, good morning, my friend. It is great to have Scott back in the room today on a Friday edition in episode 202. Okay. We can move on. Can we move on to a little bit of Giants talk? If you missed any of the Niners talk today, and we did about 45 minutes on the Niners, you can go back to the beginning of the show, which I don't want you to do. Let's finish up the show. And then I will put the chapters up, and then you can just hit up the Niners stuff that you want. And remember, any questions, comments, or thoughts after the show, you can put them underneath here or right now, and I'll answer them. Or hit me up on X. I'm there often. At John Lund Radio, please do that. And if you want your questions, comments, thoughts on the air, 100% guaranteed during the show, hit me up with a super. Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to the Giants side of things. The Mets are in town. That's not going to be an easy series. And after the Mets, then it's the Pirates. After the Pirates, then it's the Mets again. After the Mets, then it's the Pirates again. And then you get about 7 games. There's somebody in between that of the Padres. And before all that stuff happens, the trade deadline. Hi, Perry. So the trade deadline happens. People hit me up on X going, how aggressive do you think Buster is going to be? And I'm like, very. I talked to somebody who said, very, very, very. Now, is it going to be a Devers kind of a situation? No. And the reason I know that is, and you and I have talked about it, is the minor league system is fairly bare. If you're a dork like me and you go to their prospect list, most of it says 26, 27, 30 as far as time they'll be here, 2027, 2028, 2030, those kind of things. So they don't really have a lot of ready talent. And a lot of teams that are trading with like ready talent or pretty close talent, because that lets you know like they're like 80%, 90% there, and there's not a lot of guessing. Teams don't like to guess a lot. So they don't have a lot. And if they did, they would have already brought that talent up. Now, some people are talking about Luciano. I read a trade thing today that said, well, you know, some teams are back on the Luciano train a little bit, not to the extent where, you know, he was a top 20 prospect at one point, and he is purely a DH. But a lot of people expect Luciano to go. There's some younger pitching that the Giants have that some people like. So there's some younger pitching could go. You know, those kind of things. One of the Carsons, whatever the case may be. We've talked about those names a ton of times. So look, he's going to be as aggressive as he possibly can. If I was a betting man, and I am, I would say that second base could be addressed. It's not going to be a name that you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm blown away. I don't think it's going to be that. And you and I have talked about the names over and over and over again. And then I was looking for a third starter, but Roop has solved that. A fourth starter would be something that I think they would be looking at. I know that Jeff Passan put the other day Zach Littell. I've warmed up to that a little bit. He knows how to pitch in this park. He's not a reliever anymore, and he's put together a couple of nice seasons in Tampa Bay. And anybody you're getting from Tampa Bay, I mean, he probably adjusted a few things. Tampa's a good team to trade with. Although the only thing I don't like about Tampa is they're kind of like the A's. Like, they'll steal some good players from you. They'll probably know your system. They know how to fit players into their system. So we'll see on that. But yeah, I wouldn't mind. Zach Littell wouldn't cost you a whole heck of a lot. He's a free agent at the end of the year, and he could solidify your 4th spot. And then we wouldn't have to bitch and moan so much about Justin Verlander. So that wouldn't be a bad thing for me. And I wouldn't mind adding an average second baseman. One thing we talked about, was it the day before yesterday? Adley Rutschman's name keeps popping up. The only issue with that is, you know, you keep looking at the defensive metrics. Patrick Bailey's not only the best defensive catcher in the league, from the metric standpoint, he's the best defensive player in the league. He's hitting over the last about 6 weeks now the average of a major league catcher, which is not lovely, but it's average major league catcher production. So I've said this time and time again, if Patrick Bailey could give you average production and then give you the defense, then he's worth it. Now, you've got to upgrade your offense around him. You can't be, okay, Patrick Bailey is average to below average hitting, but really good defensively, but you've got other holes in your lineup, massive holes. That's what I'm saying. So if you could get average production at second base, and Casey Schmidt, like I said, I don't know who I owed an apology to. I said this a few times, but at second base, if you could, you know, you got to kind of upgrade there, is what I'm saying. Ramos has got to get on track. Lee, all these things. We've talked about it a million times. I think he'll get an above average to average second baseman. I think he might get a 4th starter, and I don't think Rutschman's a reality. That's my trade deadline read right now, as of today. But he's going to make a move, and they're not going to sell. Nope. And they're not going to buy and sell. You know, Farhan would do that. Farhan would do this buy-sell thing. They're not going to do anything like that. I just don't think so. He's put so much pressure on himself by making the Devers move, and Devers is actually starting to hit, and he's starting to play first base, so they're finally solving first base, that I don't see that. But they are going through, as we've said a million times, a really key stretch. The Mets are a team that are fighting for the Phillies, with the Phillies in the NL East. We know that. And then it becomes, you got to beat up on the Pirates, and then the Padres games become massive, because I really think it's going to come down to, for that last wild card spot, and I've gone through it with you, who's going to win divisions, who's going to win wild cards. The Cardinals are going through a spin right now. They're just a couple of games above 500. I don't believe in the Reds. So it's going to come down to Padres, Giants for the last spot. And you know, Preller, AJ Preller, the general manager for the Padres, he's going to be aggressive. He always is. So there you go. The Scherzer story is wild. So I don't know if I believe this. By the way, you can give me your thoughts on Giants trade and what you might think they might do at the deadline. So this is a weird story. Was it last weekend the Giants were in Toronto getting their asses kicked? I think it was. Eric Lauer pitched a good game against the Giants, the former Brewer and Padre, now in Toronto. And you'll see here that he has a big old purple spot on his swollen purple spot on his lip. And this is how he said he got it.
This like known thing to not mess with Scherzer on his start days, especially when it has his headphones in, and I broke that rule. I tried to talk to him a little too early, so he wasn't very happy about that. And, 6 stitches is what you get for that.
Eric Lauer is saying that I don't know if he hit him, elbowed him, if it was accidental, if it was on purpose, but he's saying that big thing that he had on his lip, he said it was 6 stitches. 6 stitches. Say that fast. 6 stitches somehow from Max Scherzer, his teammate, because he got too close to him. Like, he was wearing headphones and he tried to talk to him like, hey, bro, before a start, your own teammate. Like, I've had that happen as a reporter. Like, when I first moved here, it was well known that you didn't talk to Ryan Vogelsong before starts. Tim Lincecum didn't matter. He was like, whatever. Matt Cain you didn't talk to before starts. But when you went into the clubhouse on Giants games, there were certain guys. Alfeld didn't care if you talked to him. I mean, he wasn't starting, but he didn't care. There were certain guys you could talk to. We'd have guys come out to the patio with us on KNBR. We'd have guys come out all the time. Brandon Crawford would come out. Belt would come out. Lots of guys. Lots of people come out. Rookies. They had lots of rookies come out. We had Roop come out. We had Birdsong come out. Lots of guys would come out. Not starting pitchers that day, but lots of guys would come out. Position players that were playing that day would come out. Buster came out before. So lots of guys came out. I do remember Vogelsong one time, and nobody warned me of this, and it was after a game, and he wasn't pitching until the next day. Vogelsong wasn't pitching the next day. So I was new, and I wanted to introduce myself to him, and he was actually going to be on our show on a weekly basis. And so that game was over. Whoever was pitching that night, I can't remember. It was over. So he wasn't pitching until the next day. And it might have been a day game the next day, but still it was like your start was 12 hours away, and I tapped him on the shoulder. And I introduced myself, and I said, hey, you're going to be on our show. And he cut me off like 3/4 of the way of what I was going to say. And he goes, I don't talk on the day I pitch. And I kind of looked at my watch, and it might have been like 11 o'clock, and he was pitching the next day at like 1 o'clock. And I was like, okay. And then after he pitched, then he was totally cool. Like the next day, I remember I went back up to him and I was like, hey, I tried the same spiel. You're going to be on our show. And he's like, totally cool, man. He's like, I didn't mean to be a dick last night, but it was like, I just don't talk on the day I'm going to pitch. And I go, it was like 11:45. He's like, yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just, one of those things. And I'm like, that's cool. And remember, he was the one, what did he do? He ate the chicken or something like that. I think he had a chicken thing that he did before. So it's like, these guys have this routine, and it's like, after this game, I'm the next pitcher, so I don't talk. So I get it. But like, I'm a reporter, so I get that you don't like me. But like, you're gonna give that a guy on your own team that treatment? Like, I don't know. I don't know if I believe that. Has anybody heard that story? I don't know if I believe that. Like, you gave 6 stitches to a guy on your own team, on your own pitching staff? Like, you just whacked the guy or what? Like, that's weird, man. And he's kind of making a joke of it, so I'm not sure if it's true. I know Scherzer kind of has that personality, but he has that personality with like the media and stuff. You wouldn't whack an own guy on your team. Like, hey, man, he turns to him. Hey, have a great start, man. Wham! Hits him. I don't know. I don't know if I believe that, but that's what Eric Lauer is saying. He's saying that Scherzer gave him that. Gave him a fat lip, and it required 6 stitches. I don't know. I'm not buying that, man. But I guess it could be. I guess he could do that. So anyway, there's the Scherzer story. Gave you some trade talk. Would you like the latest on Jonathan Kuminga? Nothing's really changed. But he's kind of holding the Warriors hostage, and I told you this a long time ago. Even though he's a restricted free agent, I told you before all of this started that the ball was in Jonathan Kuminga's court. And if he didn't want to be a Warrior, he wouldn't be a Warrior. And so here's the latest from Shams.
Jonathan Kuminga this morning at a workout in Miami. He's in good spirits. He had a good workout. He did tell me, though, that he is in absolutely no rush on doing a deal with the Warriors right now, and he's not accepting their current offers. He added that he wants to continue to explore options with his agent, Aaron Turner, whether that's continuing conversations with the Warriors, but also sign and trade options that are available to him in the marketplace.
Okay, Sham, so you use the term options. What do those other options for Jonathan Kuminga look like?
I'm told the Phoenix Suns and the Sacramento Kings are 2 teams that have made concrete offers with the Warriors over the last week or so. They're 2 of the more aggressive teams with Kuminga, and they're also offering him an opportunity for significant minutes, a starting caliber role in their lineup, and those are 2 things that he wants more than anything. So where this is at, Vanessa, is the Warriors do not want anything, though, that is available to them, is being offered to them in sign and trades. And on the other hand, with Jonathan Kuminga, he is not ready to move forward with taking any of the Warriors' current offers. He's not in a hurry to do a deal there yet. And so 24 days into the offseason, it's a staring contest between these two sides.
All right, blah, 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 blah. We've already heard that other stuff. I just want to concentrate on the two teams that are right now offering. We know the Sacramento deal, and that was a crummy deal. And the Warriors wanted Keegan Murray, and the Kings are going, we're not going to do that. And Phoenix offered a deal, and Grayson Allen is one of the most disliked players. He played at Duke. He's just one of those kind of guys. When he was in Utah, he was disliked. He went over to Phoenix. He went to Memphis, goes to Phoenix. And he's just one of the most disliked players in the league. He's okay. He's nothing great. He's not going to make a difference. He's not a difference maker for the Warriors. So that wouldn't be that. And it was a protected number one. So, look, you want to give me an unprotected? Maybe I could get back what I gave up for Jonathan Kuminga and get back in the lottery. That's one thing, and they're not going to do that. So it's a protected one. Grayson Allen, there was something else to make some salaries match. There's nothing good. The Suns don't have anybody. They're in a full rebuild mode. They're not going to give up. Booker's not coming this way, so they're not doing anything. There's nobody that you would want on the Suns roster right now that would be realistic for Kuminga, so they're not going to do any of those deals. So the two teams that have engaged with the Warriors are just trying to steal them. And the Warriors are like, we're not doing that. And here's where the problem is, as Shams reports there, Kuminga is in no hurry. The Warriors are kind of stuck in neutral because they're trying to get guys, but what they've really got to do is move Kuminga first, and then these guys that we keep hearing, DeAnthony Melton or Al Horford, could follow suit. But even that, and I've said this a million times, that's not going to change the outlook for the Warriors. Al Horford's a nice player. He's 39. DeAnthony Melton's a nice player. He's, 7, 8 in your rotation, something like that. He's not going to change what you're going to be at the end of the season. So those aren't overly exciting. The guy that was going to bring them some sort of size was Kuminga. And I blame the Warriors for this because you've known for, a year that he was going to be a restricted free agent. You knew that you weren't going to use him in the rotation. You knew who you might want to target this offseason. You should have had an idea on this a year ago, that these are the guys that we may want to target. This is what, Kuminga's going to be pissed off. He's not going to be in the rotation. Like, you knew this kind of stuff. You knew this was going to happen again. You didn't know that Jimmy Butler was going to be on your team. I give you that. But there's friction between Kuminga and the Warriors, and it's been going on for a couple of years now. So this is, they if they were going to give him the big money, they would have done it last year. They would have extended the guy. So, look, this is not new news. And now they're sitting here going, God, we're stuck in neutral because Jonathan Kuminga is keeping us hostage, and Jonathan Kuminga is kind of just working out in Miami going, whatever. It'll happen when it happens. But I said this very, very early. I said this when he was going off in the playoffs, actually. He's not coming back to be in the same situation. He's not. And a lot of people who have suggested that, well, he'll just sign that $7.9 million qualifying offer and he'll just sit another year. The dude wants to play, and he doesn't care. He doesn't care about winning or anything. So I am a little bit surprised a team like Utah hasn't engaged, or at least we haven't heard it. I'm a little surprised that Brooklyn hasn't engaged. Maybe they have. We just haven't heard it. But again, those teams don't have a lot to give up. Lauri Markkanen had a terrible year. I wouldn't go after Lauri Markkanen. A year ago, Utah waited too long to move Lauri Markkanen. So, look, I don't know what the trade is out there. Something may materialize at some point. But right now, given the names or given the teams that Shams just said, Phoenix and Sacramento, there's no interest whatsoever. Phoenix really doesn't have anywhere to pivot. The only place the Kings have to pivot is Keegan Murray, and they're not going to do that. So I don't know where this thing goes, and it's going to take a long time. So that's the latest on Kuminga. LeBron is not happy, and Steph Curry is a part of this, and I haven't heard anything from Steph Curry. So let me give you the thing on this first before I show you this video. I wasn't aware of this until a couple of days ago. So LeBron James and his legal team, as you can see there, they've issued a cease and desist to people creating AI-generated videos depicting him as pregnant, leading to their Instagram accounts being barred, according to 404 Media. At least 3 Instagram accounts that have garnered millions of views on non-consensual AI videos. Of course they're non-consensual. Do you think he wants these out there? Of James having been deleted by Instagram. When asked by 404 Media, blah, 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 cease and desist from James, they refused to comment. So they have these videos out there of LeBron James being pregnant, and they keep posting more and more of them, and every one time one's deleted, then another one just pops up. But this one's got Steph Curry involved in it.
Come quick, our baby is being born.
LeBron, why does this baby look like James Harden? He's got a full beard already.
Weird. AI is just weird, man. That's not even know what to say. AI is just weird. And I guess that these people are getting in tons of trouble or whatever the case may be. But anyway, there it is. That's the world we live in. That's the world we live in. We live in a society in which people spend time making AI videos of a baby that was born apparently between Steph Curry and LeBron James, and LeBron James is having none of it. My view on all that kind of stuff is it's just always going to happen. And if I was LeBron James, what I would do is just, I wouldn't give it any fuel, and that's kind of how I've lived my life doing 30 years of this, 30 years in this media, is that I'm just not going to give fuel to it. I'm not going to give fuel to it, because once you do that, then it's just, then you're acknowledging it, and then they're going to do more and more and more and more and more and more. And if the minute that people see that it bothers you, then they're going to drill you with it. They're just going to keep doing it. Oh, this bothers LeBron, then it's just, that's it. That's what they're going to do. So I don't know. It's just strange. It's strange. I don't know why people do those kind of things, but they just do, and it's AI, and they can. And then, like I said, if he leaves it alone and doesn't say anything, I mean, it's so out there. It's like if it was any type of reality, like if you made it a video, and this is what all celebrities are afraid of, that might be reality, right? That might be something that look at LeBron. He robbed a store, or he did this, or he did that, or, he punched somebody, or, like I said, not that he would necessarily do that, but something where you might even have to question, like, did he really do that? Like, that's what scares celebrities or whatever, people in the spotlight. But something like that is like, it's just so wild that you're like, whatever. But when you give it fuel, then it's like, okay, that's bothering him. Then you have all these other people, and they start doing it, and it just fuels the whole thing. So, like I said, if you fuel things like that, not good. But anyway, whatever. That's LeBron's baby situation. All right, that is the sports news that we have. It is almost time for the sweet, clean, family-friendly Caboose Pistol. Anything we need to hit up on Niners Day Camp 2, Day 2. Defense, SALEH speaks, Christian Wilkins, I don't think so. Camp tape, Run Ricky Run, Mets in town, the Scherzer story, trade talk for the Giants, as we are now 6 days away from the deadline. Kuminga deals not coming soon, LeBron's baby, and we'll do sweet, clean, family-friendly Caboose Pistol in a moment. Any questions, comments, or thoughts on anything we've gone over in episode 202? I think we're good. And have I said good morning to everybody? I hope I have. Anyway, there you go. All right. Let's do it. It is time for your sweet, clean, family-friendly Caboose Pistol.
John Lund Unleashed presents the Caboose Pistol.
Wedged in the crack of her buttocks.
Somehow, someway, Lundo thinks this is the best way to leave a final impression on you for the day.
The old Caboose Pistol, everybody has one.
Did you say Caboose Pistol?
I know some women who could hide a machine gun in there.
Yeah.
Leave me out of this, you weirdo. Here's John.
Oh, let me do this real quick, too. This is not really Caboose Pistol-ish, but Happy Gilmore is out today. My stepson, I'm sure, wasn't able to wait. The initial version was 1996. Adam Sandler signed a big deal with Netflix, so he had to fulfill making X amount of movies, and so almost 30 years later, he makes one. We'll see. Like I told you, if you go in, maybe take a gummy, have a couple of sips of your favorite cocktails, maybe it'll be something that you laugh at a few times. Look, if it's better than that, then I'll admit it. I'll probably watch it just because I have to, but I'm not expecting a lot. And that's how I kind of look at, like I told you, all-star games and things like that. It's like, look, I know what it is. This is not going to win an Oscar, but we'll see. I don't think it's going to be great. I liked the first one. Bob Barker's not going to be in this one, I don't believe. I know that Eminem is in this one and others. I think Travis Kelce might be in it. So anyway, I'm going to watch it because you have to. But I very much doubt it's going to be something that is going to go onto my top movie list, but I have it in its proper perspective so that I'm not disappointed. So what do you think? Is this going to be a decent movie or not? You decide. This was, I think, if I'm correct, I think Naomi sent me this on X at John Lund Radio. And if you ever come across any type of thing that you think might be a sweet, clean, family-friendly caboose item, I would love to see it and use it on the show. But I think this was Naomi who hit me up with this. A Chuck E. Cheese employee in full costume was arrested for credit card fraud in Tallahassee. Keith Jackson. Oh, my. Tallahassee, Florida. So Tallahassee, Florida, the home of Florida State University. And there he is getting taken out by the police. In fact, I've got video of this because I searched a little bit more on this. So credit card fraud for Chuck E. Cheese in Florida. Here you go. There he is getting put into the squad car. I didn't know it took 3 guys to get Chuck E. Cheese. There he is again. There's the long view of it. And then they finally take off his head. Look how embarrassing this is. Oh, and you can see the kid. See, you saw him come around the front. Watch the kid come around the back. He's got to be like, oh, Chuck E. Cheese. Look at that. You're just ruining that kid's life. That kid's like, oh, look at there's the other kid. Oh, no way. They're like, oh, Chuck E. Cheese. So you just ruined those kids. They're like, oh, my gosh, there's a guy in there. Oh, you just ruined his life. And then there's Chuck E. Cheese going away. What a bummer, man. Let me go back a little bit. See, look at these kids. Let me go back just a second here. See those kids go by? Watch this. When the kids go by, it's like, oh, man. Look at that kid. There's another kid. They're looking at him. There's another one coming. Oh, what is that? Look at the moms going by. Oh, they're just ruined for life. They just saw Chuck E. Cheese without his head getting arrested by the cops. How do you explain that one to your kids? I don't know how old those kids were. Maybe 7, 8. I don't know, 10, whatever. How do you explain that? Mom, what's going on with Chuck E. Cheese? Credit card fraud, son. Credit card fraud. So anyway, there's number 1. Chuck E. Cheese. Can't you wait till Chuck E. Cheese is off work? I mean, can't you just chill in the parking lot a little bit for a minute? Have a drink. Not a drink, but like soda or something, and just chill. He ain't going anywhere. Yeah. Just go to his work, take his head off. That's not good. Chuck E. Cheese. All right. This one, seriously, I thought this was a fake. I totally thought this was a fake. So I'm gonna do the reverse here. I'm gonna play the video. Just I thought this was a fake. Like, there's no way, right? There's no way this was real. So I'm gonna play the video first, and then I'll show you the story. The serial butt sniffer.
So many people have come to me saying that they recognize the guy.
It felt like anywhere I moved, he kept following me. So I recorded just in case he was trying to say anything or do anything to me. But I definitely didn't expect him to do this. Like, what the actual...
Pretending to be like crouching down by a bookshelf and then coming behind me and smelling me. And he does the same thing to another girl in the video as well.
I was so freaked out when I turned around and saw him literally under me, so freaking close to me.
At least his name is out there, his face is out there, so people can be aware and cautious.
The butt sniffing bandit, he was at a bookstore there, and I was like, this can't be real. And then so I looked it up. Serial butt sniffer arrested again for sticking schnoz in woman's backsides at a Nordstrom rack. So that first video I showed you, he was at a bookstore. He was like a Barnes and Noble or something, and he's following this woman around. Can you imagine? And he's bending down, which that's kind of a perfect place for that. He's bending down, there's bookshelves, and so you got to, that's on the lower level, and he goes down and he's sniffing her butt, and then he goes to a Nordstrom rack, and you can see right there, he's on his knees there, and he's trying to butt sniff there. So it's like, anyway, it's a real story. I don't know. I guess it takes all kinds, man. Just weird. Just, that wouldn't be my thing. And I know like Rex Ryan has the feet and everything like that, but I'm not interested in the butt. I wouldn't be a butt sniffer, but this guy is. And like I said, it just takes all kinds, but serial butt sniffer. And I don't know what kind of charges you get for being a serial butt sniffer, but that's just weird. That is just weird. That would freak me out. You imagine being like a Barnes and Noble and you're sitting there, all of a sudden you hear, and you look down and there's that dude. Like, what are you doing? What in the hell? Anyway, so he's been busted a few times. You can't let that guy back out. Serial butt sniffer. So there you go. Caboose Pistol, I put 2, but and again, like I said, that's not I just forgot about that. I was going to play that earlier. So again, Happy Gilmore today. Chuck E. Cheese ruined those kids' lives. Look at them. And you can see right there, look at them in the picture. See the kids right there that are walking into Chuck E. Cheese? Part of the thing was like, we're going to play with Chuck E. Cheese. You can see them over by the door coming in. And then the other kids were coming in like, it's my birthday. And then it's like, we don't get to see Chuck E. Cheese. Man, got to get him at work, take his head off, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, Chuck E. Cheese. And then the cereal butt sniffer. There you go. Both at Barnes & Noble. Be careful at Nordstrom Rack as well. And that is your sweet, clean, family-friendly Caboose Pistol. Any comments? That's my favorite part of the show, when I look at the chat room and see the comments. You can join at John Lund Unleashed on YouTube if you'd like to opine. Let me see here. Humboldt Fats, good morning to you, my friend. Put them away. Yeah, exactly. Put them away. I knew I could count on you, Tacky. I knew I could count on you. Let's see here. Anything else? Let's see. Perfect. Thank you very much for that. Yes. These get the most comments, I know. Let's see here. There you go. Yes, I know. There you go. I'm sorry. I'm just entertaining myself here very quickly with the thoughts on the sweet, clean, family-friendly Caboose Pistol. Dom, our good friend, is here. Got to jump to the meeting before high noon. High noon. Okay, high noon for Polymax Particles. Remember, that's that big B in the corner there. Bay Area Sports Collective. Make sure you are subscribed there, because Polymac and Creative Tony, part of the Bay Area Sports Collective, they will be going at noon. So make sure you jump over there at noon, and I'll give you a little time between the two shows. Okay, I think that's about it. All right, that'll do it for today. That is your sweet, clean, family friend, the Caboose Pistol, and that is episode 202. Gave you a lot of Niners today, a little bit of Giants, a little bit of the latest on Jonathan Kuminga as well. Weird story about Max Scherzer. Don't know if that's true. And a sweet, clean, family-friendly Caboose Pistol. Any questions, comments, thoughts, give them all to me. Give them to me right underneath the show right here at John Lund Unleashed. I'm always on X at John Lund Radio. By the way, if you're not subscribed, I put a bunch of stuff before I do the show from 49ers camp afterwards. I put a lot of stuff on X. So if you want to hear or see some of the stuff, I put some extra stuff that I don't even put on the show on X at John Lund Radio, like the sound of Chris Kocurek screaming at Alfred Collins. That's actually on X, because if I put the sound here, they're going to block my videos. So I don't do that here. I have it on X, so make sure you do that. Please make sure that you subscribe before you get out of here today. If you're on X, jump over to YouTube for a minute and subscribe to the show. That way you know when the alerts come on. Make sure, please, you hit us with a like before you get out of here today as well. That would be absolutely outstanding. Do it for each episode so that the algorithm picks us up and grows our community, which would be great as well. Thank you. However you are watching today, Facebook, LinkedIn, we are on Bay Area Sports Collective, John Lund Unleashed on YouTube, X, and Instagram today. So thanks to everybody. If you jump over to YouTube, that would be greatly appreciated. I think I missed a super here. Let me do that before I get out of here. Which celebrity you butt sniffing, says Tacky. I'm not answering. I'm pleading the fifth. Because it's just weird. And then people will think I'm weird. They already think I'm weird. That's a good point. All right. Episode 202 in the books. Look at people are actually answering your question. I'm just not a butt sniffing type. I'm really not, man. Butts are butts, no matter what it's attached to. You know what I mean? Like, butts are butts, no matter what it's attached to. That's kind of my thing. It's not my thing. Great stuff today. Thank you for your attending. You have my eternal gratitude. And again, all I ask is a like and a follow before you get out of here today. We will speak at you later. I will hit you up and let you know what we're doing as far as bottom of the pint for the Mets tonight. I think that is it for episode 202. Everybody have a great rest of your Friday.
Thanks for hanging out with John Lund Unleashed. We'll try to be better next time, though I wouldn't hold my breath. Please like and subscribe on the John Lund Unleashed Pod YouTube channel. Watch live shows weekdays at 8 a.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. And make sure to have your alerts on for shows throughout the day or night. All things Lund can be found at johnlundunleashed.com. johnlundunleashed.com.
Goodbye!